Welcome to this edition of Access Together. These shows are made possible through the combined efforts of Shelby County Schools and GHS-TV. The shows are hosted by the members of the community and utilize the staff and facilities of Germantown High School. If you would like to watch our live stream or get more information about these shows, log on to our website, ghstv.org. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host for our show, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and their skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, today on our show, we're featuring Habitat for Humanity of Greater Memphis, an organization which concentrates on home ownership for low-income families. As you watch our show today, pay attention to the scope of their many projects, as well as to their economic impact on our community. And in particular, note that they're not actually giving away free homes, but instead, listen to how they're truly providing a hand up and not a handout. In this first segment of our show, we'll meet Dwayne Spencer, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity of Greater Memphis, and we'll learn about the organization itself and how they go about accomplishing their mission. In our second segment, Dwayne and I will be joined by Bill Stemmler, Chairman of the Board of Directors, and we'll hear about the impact that Habitat for Humanity has on our community, as well as for ways for you to get involved. Now, joining us now is Dwayne Spencer, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity of Greater Memphis. Welcome, Dwayne.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
You have quite a story. It's a poignant story and a really pertinent story to Habitat for Humanity. Tell us about how you got involved and tell us your background and your story.
Yeah, well, I've been working in nonprofits for about 23 years. Before that, I did a little stint in advertising, marketing for a couple of ad agencies in town. But in my youth, I did grow up in poverty housing out in Fayette County, not too far away. We lived in what you would probably call a shack today, where we did not have indoor plumbing, we did not have a bathroom, and people find it hard to believe that in the mid-'80s, people didn't have indoor plumbing. And a lot of my friends, after I started talking about this, a lot of my friends saw the stories on Facebook and on NBC and said, we didn't know that you didn't have a bathroom. You know, I didn't carry it on my shoulder, I guess, when I was at school. So anyway, I found myself here working at Habitat for Humanity now for 15 years. And our goal is to help families achieve the American dream of home ownership. And in many instances, we are moving them out of pretty deplorable living situations. But most importantly, we're trying to create a situation where they're spending only about 30% of their bring-home pay on their household expenses. Many times when they come and apply, they're spending more than 50 or 60% of their bring-home pay on housing. So I just find it kind of interesting that I come from a world of poverty housing, and now I get to work in this industry.
Well, it completely explains your passion
Yeah.
for the entire thing, and also your empathy for the people coming in to get new homes. So the mission's fairly clear, but talk about the people who do come to you for a new home. You really aren't giving away free houses, which is a misconception, by the way.
It is. It's a myth, and it's sort of perpetuated by seeing, you know, folks on television shows. We really only show on the news them getting the keys to the home and celebrating that accomplishment. But the truth is they are qualifying for a mortgage, like you or I would. It's a 30-year mortgage, but the beauty is we don't charge any interest.
I see.
And that's what makes it affordable. You know, if you were to do the math out in the real world and you buy a $100,000 house, at the end of the day, you're probably going to pay about $250,000 over 30 years for that house. Our homeowners buy a $100,000 house, and that's what they pay, along with taxes and insurance like the rest of us, but no interest.
And so that's how you bring them down from paying like 60% of their income
That's right.
at an apartment to about
Yes.
to less than, not quite to 30, but that much less than, because the interest is so abhorrent.
Yes.
So it really is. So, but they don't just come to you and, gosh, I can have a house. There are like several steps ahead of time, though, isn't there? You have to demonstrate need.
Yeah, we are working with the family, I would say probably 12 to 18 months before they actually purchase the house.
I see.
So they come in and do the paperwork to apply. And we have a committee that Bill is a part of. We don't know the names. We just have the specifics about the family and what they're trying to accomplish in their lives. And along with that consideration, we look at the underwriting. We have a person in the office who underwrites them. We don't put a lot into credit scoring, but we do talk about debt to income ratios and do some calculations on their ability to afford the mortgage, which is generally around $450. And so we also take them through something we call financial literacy.
That's really important, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
And how does that work exactly?
That lasts anywhere from 12 to 15 weeks. And we were talking to them about managing their credit, using a checking and savings account, investments, how to best use their insurance company or not use it. A lot of folks will call if they have a broken window. You don't call the insurance company for that. And just getting them on the right track to getting their economics, their personal economics in place before they try to take on this venture of home ownership.
And if they haven't had home ownership, or if they're from a family that has never owned their own home, how would they have had this experience otherwise, right?
They would not have.
And so that's why the financial literacy is so important.
That's right. And then also, you know, working with your local police department to address, you know, crime issues or create a neighborhood association. We have firemen who come in and talk to them, police officers, insurance experts, all to sort of educate them on the dynamics that fully sort of encompass home ownership, which is something they would not have been exposed to before.
Well, it's an amazing, amazing venture, truly, and it's kind of a joint venture between you and the homeowner.
It is. It's a partnership.
Well, you know what? The most high-profile thing that I've seen happen in our area recently, and maybe, you know, certainly our community and maybe the whole Mid-South, is your 2016 Carter project. And so talk a little bit about how you managed to get President and Mrs. Carter to come here to help with your project. That's amazing.
It is. Well, they've been doing this for more than 30 years,
Really?
where they give a week a year to Habitat for Humanity. I mean, they do many things around the world, many humanitarian projects, but they give Habitat a week a year. And the Jimmy and Rosa and Carter Work Project is either in the U.S. or international, and in the U.S. and international, it's all around, and it's been in 14 different countries. And while it was in Dallas just a few years ago, I started thinking and talking to my team about the possibility of it coming to Memphis, and I thought, why could we not bring this to Memphis? And everyone was a little gun shy and thought, gosh, it's such a huge, you know, project to put together. But I did go ahead and reach out. I asked about the possibilities, and you know, the rest is history. They said yes. I think they were intrigued by some of the interesting projects that we had going on outside of just new house building, like our Aging in Place program and revitalization efforts. And they said yes, and so then we went on to fundraising and planning out all of the logistics to bring it together.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so how did it feel to be hammering a nail right alongside the President of the United States?
Humbling.
Yes.
Humbling and a really proud moment.
I bet.
Really proud moment.
I
yeah.
bet. Great moment for Memphis.
Yes.
Great moment for Habitat for Humanity, and for that homeowner. How much that meant, right?
Yes. All of the homeowners got to meet them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good and very special. You know, you mentioned a minute ago Aging in Place. Talk about that program, because it's really had an impact, hasn't it?
It really has. I want to say first that we started with revitalization work when we realized that we couldn't do home ownership really holistically, and by leaving, you know, other houses that needed some sort of intervention on streets without any help. So we started doing that first, and then through that we realized that there were a lot of seniors that we were impacting who were living on about $12,000 a year and could never have made any major improvements to their homes. And at the same time, the Plow Foundation was doing some research into really the plight of seniors in our city and the fact that they could not do critical repairs on their own. And so the timing was perfect. We were having some discovery, and Plow was sort of doing research on a national level, and then decided to give away $12 million, I believe, to several agencies, and we happened to be one of them.
That's fabulous.
And so we took a $3.9 million grant from the Plow Foundation and raised some additional dollars. And so right now we're going to serve about 350 families, seniors in particular, with minor and major critical repairs to help them be able to stay in their homes.
Oh, that's amazing. That really is. And so many of these people actually already own their homes too, don't they?
Yes,
but they wouldn't
do.
have been able to improve them and keep them up to date, and a lot of them needed vital repairs, you said.
Yeah, some of them maybe needed just handrail to be able to get in and out of the bathtub safely without falling, or some lighting in a dark hallway to keep from falling, that sort of thing. But we discovered that many of them really needed a new roof.
Oh, wow.
Some of them, instead of just needing a heightened toilet, they needed a completely new plumbing system. And so that spiked the cost. But we did consult with the foundation, and we did raise some additional dollars to do minor as well as some really major critical repairs, some of them, $15,000 worth of work. And
this has allowed you to touch a lot more families than you would have otherwise. How many homes a year do you build, and how many?
We typically build 15 to 20 houses a year. We're fortunate enough to be doing 30 this year.
Wow.
Many of them are part of the Jimmy and Rosa and Carter Work Project. But with the Aging in Place program, we're going to serve about 350 families this year. It's the most we've ever touched in one single year.
So it stretches your resources to cover more people.
That's right.
And to make a better impact on
and
them.
We're serving families who would not have been served otherwise. There are some other critical repair programs for seniors, but they would have to pay back a loan. Through the Plow Foundation, they've not asked for these families to repay any of these dollars, and quite frankly, they could not afford to do it. And
therefore, they would have just lived just like they were, right?
And they would have had moisture coming in. They have windows pulling away from the frames. We have families where the foundation is sinking into the floor, and it's pretty deplorable.
It truly is.
It is.
Yeah, my God.
And so I love that we're taking care of seniors in this town.
I like that too. I mean, for me, you're taking care of people who have taken care of us as we were younger.
And they're anchors in their neighborhoods. They've been there for 40, 50 years.
Well, and that probably keeps the neighborhood in better shape. There are a lot of benefits beyond economic for people for home ownership. Talk about those a moment.
Yeah, well, first the seniors are anchors in their communities. But, our families are creating a better financial, economic situation based on their low wages already. And they create a legacy, something that they can pass on to their families through home ownership.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about it. I want you to stay right here, and we're going to be joined by your chairman in a moment.
Great.
Okay, so stay here and let's talk some more. We're going to pause now for a short break. When we return, we'll be joined by Bill Stemmler, Chairman of the Board of Directors for Habitat for Humanity of Greater Memphis.
Welcome to Germantown High School, an international baccalaureate creative and performing arts optional school, a destination school for students who are going places.
Our students are of the highest caliber when it comes to their academics and knowledge.
The IB program is a very rigorous program.
You were challenged in a way that you thought you couldn't be challenged. You succeeded, something that other kids may not have thought they could do.
They're accepted to colleges that are just, dream colleges for so many people.
Germantown High School offers a CAPA program, the Creative and Performing Arts program.
When I first came here, I saw the television studio and I was just amazed at what all I saw.
Kids do everything, that they're taught every detail that has to do with theater arts and creative arts.
I love a lot of things about Germantown High School, but primarily what I love is the athletics. There's something exciting around every single corner.
We probably are one of the most diverse high schools in the state of Tennessee, maybe the United States.
I would never doubt about sending your child to Germantown High School.
This high school is something not like any other high school that we have.
There's definitely fun in the work. We find fun in everything we do.
You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, and you're watching Inspiring Leaders. Today we're talking about Habitat for Humanity of Greater Memphis, and we're pleased to continue our discussion with President and CEO Dwayne Spencer. We're delighted to be joined by Bill Stemmler, Chairman of their Board of Directors for Habitat for Humanity of Greater Memphis. Thank you for staying with us, Dwayne, and welcome, Bill.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you're both here today, and what a topic to be talking about, home ownership. Well, okay, Bill, let's go back to you. Now, I know that this isn't a job, this is a volunteer position for you. You are actually Vice President and Business Development Officer for Iberia Bank, right?
Right.
And you concentrate on community reinvestment, is that right?
That's correct.
Tell me about that and how you got involved with Humanity.
Well, community reinvestment was a regulation that was started by the federal government because banks years ago would take money out of an area, but they would not lend in that area. So they would take deposits and lend someplace else.
I see.
So the regulators decided, federal government decided that they would need to pass that, which means that banks have to make all their services available to the whole community, but specifically target low to moderate income areas to provide lending, service, and investment. And my job basically for the Memphis market with Iberia Bank is to do community reinvestment. So I do community development, working for and working with organizations like Habitat.
I see. So that is a really important function for you, though, Dwayne, to understand how the banks operate with you, correct?
Yeah, well, we actually do our lending internal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So basically you bring the structure, not the money itself, right?
Not necessarily, but we do in some cases can provide money for the agency because Habitat makes the loans.
Right. I see.
Habitat holds those loans. But if Habitat wants to accelerate those loans to get money back, otherwise they have to wait 30 years for it.
Oh, gracious.
Then they can can sell them to a bank at a discount.
I see.
The bank gets CRA credit, and Habitat gets funding for their next build.
That sounds like a win-win.
It's a great partnership.
It is a tremendous partnership, isn't it? So you've been involved with Habitat for Humanity for Greater Memphis for how long?
7 years or longer, I believe.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, and you also have some involvement with the community down at Cooper Young and
yes,
all that
that's
area.
how I actually got involved with community reinvestment. When I was working with Boatman's, I've been in banking in Memphis for 47 years. And so I was asked by the president at Boatman's at the time to look at our CRA program. And it looked like we were doing what we were supposed to do, but we were not really having an impact. So my thought was we need to target an area that's distressed, that needs help, and try to provide resources to make that happen. And so I started working in Cooper Young in 1985, and through that time frame, made about $2.5 million worth of loans there for small businesses. We got an OASIS grant that changed the way the street ran. Where the trolley used to turn around years ago when I was little, that's where the gazebo is. And then to get people back there, we had to have some kind of function that would do that. That's when we started the festival. So this year we'll celebrate our, next year we'll celebrate our 30th year. And I serve as chairman of that.
So you're the daddy of the festival too, right? Yeah.
I guess.
And so revitalization of the whole community is important to you.
That's what you have to do to fill gaps, to find resources to bring into an area to help revitalize it.
I see, I see. Well, you know, y'all moved your headquarters this year, didn't you?
We 5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Right.
Tell me about doing that. Why did you move your headquarters, and where is it now? And
go ahead, Bill.
Well, Dwayne and I had a vision that we needed to move from Scott Street, where we were right off of Poplar, to an area that had more of an opportunity for development for us to expand. We were cramped where we were. It was not the best location in the world. We had a restore there at one time, but it was outside, so you know, you had to deal with the weather and all kinds of other things. And it was not really the safest place in the world. So we finally were able to come up with a plan to move to Riverdale and Winchester, we're right at the corner of that, into a shopping center that was pretty much vacant at the time. And we were able to secure one bay, and to help pay for that, a restore is one way to do that, because we take in product from everybody that wants to donate. You decide you want to change your kitchen and you're going to get rid of all your appliances. Well, you can donate them to Habitat. Well, they come to us free. We turn around and sell them at a reduced price after we've refurbished them and that sort of thing. And so we use volunteers in the restore. We have a small staff that are paid, but a restore this year will probably be 1.5 million in sales, and that'll throw off $400,000 or $500,000 in additional cash. Plus, it pays for the restore and it pays for our office. The restore is about 60,000 square feet.
So basically, you're able to take in donations and recycle things for people.
That's exactly right.
It pays for your headquarters, it pays for the restore, and it throws off additional income?
Yes.
And it keeps items out of the landfill. That's important too.
Exactly.
It is. So it's environmentally responsible.
It is.
And it's probably provides things for people who might not be able to afford a brand new whatever.
Exactly.
Correct.
Well, that is like a multifaceted good thing, isn't
and
it?
for folks who like to shop and rework an item.
Yeah.
You know, scrape the wood
We have
and
stuff
start
every
over.
day. If you don't find it today, you may find it 2 days from now.
Right.
That's amazing. It really is. It is one of the places you can use volunteers, though, you said.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right? I know everybody wants to come out and hold a hammer and everything, and that's kind of a whole complicated process, though you still need some of that. But the restore is a good place to get directly involved.
It's
right?
a wonderful place to do that because everybody that volunteers, that's one person we're not having to pay a salary to get the work done. And so intake of items when people drop them off, cleaning up items, bringing things in and off the floor. There's all kinds of things that they can do. And our homeowners, when they have to do their sweat equity, they can also come out and volunteer because they get hours for doing that.
Correct.
Talk about the sweat equity thing. I know we talked about the need before. We talked about you've got to be able to pay the mortgage.
Right.
Talk about the sweat equity.
Sweat equity it really means that the family is putting their own energy and time into the building of their own home. They can work out at the build site doing that, or their financial literacy and education counts, but they can also give back to the community, generally speaking. They could volunteer at another nonprofit. And the trade-off is that we won't charge them any interest.
I see. And so basically it also makes them invested in their own homes
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Which means if you come out and volunteer at a build site, you are most likely going to be working side by side with the family.
And that's got to feel good too to your
It
volunteers.
does. You can have a conversation and talk to them about the experience and what it means to them. Yeah.
I would think that that's very fulfilling.
It is.
You know, when you think about this, I bet you'd love to build 5 billion houses,
I
but
would.
it's all controlled by how much money you make.
Economics.
Where does your money come from?
I would say the majority comes from corporations and foundations, although individuals nationally on a grand scale is where the majority of contributions come from around the world. But corporations like to send their people out, give them an opportunity to get out of out of a cubicle. Our faith-based partners send their members out to volunteer, and so faith and corporate in particular for house building.
And some philanthropic.
And then some
individuals too.
foundations will help pay for things that are not as sexy, like infrastructure and putting in streets and lights and that sort of thing.
Well, and you need that as well.
We
don't you?
absolutely do. Purchasing land.
Yeah, along with everything else, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And yeah, the things that the purchasing land and all the rest of it, you can't just take a picture of it and say, here it is.
I think people forget about for us to build a house, it takes a year to get ready and acquiring the land and the materials, the supplies, and creating the partnerships with corporations and their schedules and et cetera.
Are you building
getting the families ready?
Are you building entire neighborhoods? Then,
When we
basically?
can. When we can. And the Carter Project was done in a community that where we had an opportunity to culminate and build contiguously homes.
And think about that. That must feel wonderful for the people living there too, because they now have ready-made friends who've had the same experience.
That's right.
That they've had. So
and you see this raw piece of land. It was all green space. It was undeveloped. There was no plumbing, no utilities, no lights. And so through different partnerships and relationships, we got the land donated, we got the infrastructure donated as well, and then we raised the money with our corporate and faith friends to actually build the homes.
And you know, the big misconception, of course, is that you are giving away the free home, and the part about the mortgage, I think, is probably the biggest surprise to our viewers, the hand up, not the hand out, right?
And we're always surprised by that. But, you know, every day I speak to someone who thinks that we're giving the house away. And I think that absolutely limits contributions to our work, because maybe there are a lot of folks who would not want to give money to an organization that gives houses away. And we don't.
Yeah.
We raise the money for the physical construction, the sticks and bricks, and then we create a 30-year mortgage for the family, and they pay it back. It's just an affordable mortgage. It's really about affordable home ownership.
It truly is,
Yeah.
isn't it? You know, even though you have huge donations from grants and corporate people and all, I know that you will accept whatever anyone wants to give you.
Of course, absolutely.
Here we are at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Lots of people are doing their year-end tax planning. Talk about how much contributions right now would mean to you at the end of the year, and where you see them going next year.
You know, everybody's chomping at the bits after the Carter Project to know what's happening
I bet.
next year. And we have families who are already applying. They are coming in and saying that they need help. We also, the Aging in Place program, say we're going to help 350 families in this year. There are more than 7,000 who need the help based on research by the Plow Foundation. Every day, our phones are flooded by folks, seniors in particular, calling and saying, I have no heat, I need plumbing, and we're having to turn them down quite literally. And it's heartbreaking. And we need help. In particular, the projects for seniors may be only $2,500 to improve their lives. And if you've got a senior in your life, and you understand you love your grandma, your granddad, then we can help a senior tomorrow with a contribution.
It's a great place to give a Christmas donation in someone's honor, someone's memory. Lastly, tell your website address.
It's memphishabitat.com.
Memphishabitat.com.
And there is absolutely a link to give. It's ready and waiting.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm so glad. Thank you guys so much for being with us.
Thank you for
today.
inviting us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Dwayne Spencer and Bill Stemmler, both with Habitat for Humanity for Greater Memphis. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the very excellent work they do. And if you've been inspired as I have, and you'd like to donate, get involved, or just know more about Habitat for Humanity, then please do visit their website, memphishabitat.com. Now, thank you once more for watching our show. If you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or for our station's complete programming guide, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch us on YouTube. Thank you for joining us for today's show, and be sure and watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.